Bubble, 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 guppy, guppy, guppies.
Bubble, bubble, bubble,
guppy, guppy, guppies.
Bubble guppies.
We're back.
Hey guys, welcome to Heim Time, a relaxed version.
A relaxed, sit-down version of your
Yes.
favorite podcast. We're happy to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
And we've had a lot going on, a lot to discuss. And I think this episode went well. We're maybe just, a little rusty, but we'll figure it out. So thank you for sticking with us. Life seems to get in the way of fun and other things, but that's how it goes. So anyway, patreon.com/HeimTime Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, all the stuff. You're the social media person. Thank you for listening, right? Follow, subscribe, whatever. And if you have any topics, if you have any questions, you can always hit us at Patreon. I need to do Patreon shout outs. I could do that in a second, but we love our Patreon followers.
Patreon.com/HeimTime Podcast.
And we're going to do some other cool stuff, but yeah, and we may just put the video on there now because YouTube's weird. So I don't know. I may just do a video on there, but whatever. So thanks again for listening, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Thanks, guys.
Good evening from Fort Worth, Texas. It's slow here in the heat. We're down Main Street.
What is up? Welcome to another episode of Heim Time Podcast. We are in, I don't know what you would call this, in the relaxed.
Yeah, it's like Heim Time Corner. A
Heim Time
relaxed.
After Dark.
Like, I feel like we should have whiskey or like a martini, a very dirty martini or
That
something.
sounds pretty good.
Since it's 10 a.m., we're not doing that, but
Yeah, a little
this
coffee.
little corner, a little dark corner.
Coffee with a little rum or something.
Hey guys, man, it's been a minute. Sorry about that. We've been we kind of drove all over America because we felt like that was a good idea, and then did that with a 9-month-old, which was fun.
It worked out great.
We're
I thought.
here.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude, she's a champ. Izzy held it down. We were the ones that were like, dude, when are we there? She was chilling.
Yeah, well, you did a pro move with the iPad in the
Right.
car
Yeah, of course.
and the Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
which I was talking to somebody else, and they were like, that's the biggest lifesaver in the world.
Cars have Wi-Fi now.
Yeah, so you got the Moana going,
Yeah.
and she probably watched Moana 100 times.
On the way back, for
that
sure.
week, maybe. And
We went to, we had a great idea to go to Breckenridge,
yeah,
Colorado. And we stopped in Amarillo, which was like 5-6 hours, I think, from here.
yeah.
And then continued on to Breckenridge. And we had this like sick Airbnb, huge, way too big for just us. I don't really know why we did that, but
Well, you picked it.
all right, whatever. And then we were there for like 2 days and like just could not get acclimated. We just felt,
I had
awful.
major altitude sickness
yeah.
pretty much from the moment we got to Colorado. So, and that's, that was weird. I went to Colorado almost every summer from like 7th grade on,
Yeah.
and would go to Estes Park for like a church related activities. And Estes Park is like 7,500 feet. So I was like, I've never had altitude sickness and thought, whatever. Didn't even think about it. And then also didn't know our cabin was on the face of Mount Everest. At
I
the
didn't know.
highest
I didn't
fucking
say that.
possible.
It didn't say that in the reviews. I wish someone would have been like, hey, FYI, you're 12,000 feet up
You may die
and you
here.
could die
Yeah.
just by like breathing. But I
Yeah.
was like, I wonder what Fort Worth is. Let me look that up. Like altitude 653. And we were at 12,000, I almost said square feet, 12,000 feet. And it was just pretty miserable. And we had our baby. So you had a good idea.
Well, yeah, for two people that grew up at 600 feet, it's a little bit different, I think.
Yeah.
So, and two, we talked about this, but we would drive into Colorado Springs and stay a night
Right.
and then drive
I think
on was what
That's a pro move.
I have always done. And instead we drove to Amarillo, which is probably like equally as low as Fort Worth, I would imagine, maybe lower, and just a terrible place.
Well, we were like trying to be like, okay, we have an infant. Let's not, or she's not an infant, but in between infant and toddler stage person in our life. Like, we don't want to go like, let's just push it, do 14 hours or whatever. So that's why we picked
Yeah, we kept her on schedule the whole time.
Right.
And then she was fine the whole time. Like, she was actually having a great time and enjoying it. And meanwhile, I'm like,
Yeah.
like
About
literally
1 a.m. in the night, there's like just no air. Literally no air. Like, okay. So
Yeah.
dry.
Yeah, and then I was having fun because I couldn't sleep. I was just Googling like altitude sickness stuff, and it was like just all the ways that you can die, or you
Your
terrible
brain
things could happen to
combusts.
you. Well, you just don't get enough oxygen
Right.
like into your body. So that really screwed me up. But then, yeah, that was like one of the last day. I took my whoop off because it was just like you're dead
in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, you're like, this is like
It keeps alerting you, like, breathe.
My,
You're like, I am.
my heart rate and my respiratory rate or whatever were like dangerous levels. So I was like, well, I already know that. I don't need this thing to tell me that. So that was after like the second day or whatever. I was like, we either need to like move somewhere or I got to go to a hospital. But too, like as soon as we got there, then I drove down to Breckenridge, which was a couple thousand feet, and then back up to get food. And I think that screwed me
Right,
up.
back up and down, yeah.
And then there's also the ginger issue, which a friend who is a ginger and his brother, both, who they just had a kid, shout out, but said that apparently redheaded people, fair-skinned people, altitude sickness affects us more, which I was not aware of. I don't know, but then I told you I played golf with my friend Cole, who is a nurse and anesthesiologist.
Uh-huh.
Is that how you say that? And he said that redheaded people take 15 to 20% more like sedative or whatever.
That's so weird.
To put us down.
Like, who's the first person to figure that
I don't
out?
know.
Oh God. Ugh.
But he was like, he told me the like science behind it, but I was like, that's crazy. And it's just some weird random thing that like redhead
They
people
already
have.
just know automatically they're giving a redhead 20% more.
Yeah, and I feel like, not enough people talk about our rights as redheads. And, everybody has their, hill to die on, and nobody's sticking up for us.
Nobody
So
likes gingers.
if I have to carry the cross for my people, then maybe I will.
My people? Wow, I'm surprised you're claiming it these days. You used to be like, I'm not a ginger.
Oh, it's a South Park thing, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
South Park was like right when we were in high school, I guess, maybe middle school through high school. And they did that like gingers don't have souls, which was one of the funniest episodes
Hilarious.
ever. Did you saw
Yes,
that?
of course.
So it's like Cartman is like an asshole to Kyle, who has red hair and freckles, and then talks about how gingers don't have souls, and then they sneak into
They,
his
like-
house at night
Yeah.
and paint freckles on him and dye his hair red, and then do like a bowl cut. That's like the funniest part.
Chili bowl.
So anyway, that's funny.
It is always like, this is off topic, but kind of on topic with gingers, but it is always like amazing to me when it's like two like tan, dark haired, like light eyed, or maybe like dark haired and dark eyed people that like end up having like a ginger baby. And
Yeah.
you're like, what? Because like Izzy's like blue eyed and has like strawberry blonde hair. And it's like, obviously that would be our child. But
Yeah,
like,
but I
it's
have
always like
beautiful blue eyes. So.
mind blowing it's always mind blowing whenever it's like, whoa, how'd you guys get that kid? And they're like, oh, we had like our 19th grandpa up the line had ginger or something. You're like, what?
Well, there's that happens too. Like a lot of
Genetics.
times with in sports where it's like they're like the guy's parents are like 5'6", and then he's like 6'8" offensive lineman.
Right.
It's just like a completely random thing. I don't understand how genetics work or
I don't either. But anyway, so
anything for that
we
matter.
were like basically dying on this mountaintop in Breckenridge. Like
You
no
weren't
joke,
as bad
like
as me though.
no,
right?
but I had to, I mean, I was trying to woman up, I had to protect Izzy. I had to do it. Like, I'm gonna make sure we had everything.
I thought I was gonna die.
So like literally, if you've been to Breckenridge where the little town is, like it took us from where our cabin house thing was, it took us like 30 minutes to get down to the town.
To drive literally down.
Like we were
a mountain.
just going basically straight down. And like when you're in the town, you can like look up and be like, our house is like all the way up there. So anyway, we were like, we can't do that.
Major fail.
We're just going to start road tripping.
And the house was beautiful, by the way. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, it was great. Like wonderful views, had a hot tub. That's like, I was trying to like make it so like we wouldn't have to leave there once we got there. Like it'd be like could do a run and like we could go get groceries and stuff, but then like do hikes and stuff but cook there every night, grill out. But then
It's a very ambitious plan.
it was just like not. Yeah. And so anyway, Travis was like, I've got a plan. And I was like, okay, he's about to tell us like we're about to head home after like 2 nights of being here, after like a 2-day drive. He's like, we need to go to Denver because it's lower there. So
Yeah, like 7,000 feet lower.
like
which
half
is crazy.
of what,
Over
which is
half
still high, but it was
That's
like
still very high.
very low for us at that point.
compared to 600 feet in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
But
So
I've
then we
never had
stayed
any
in
issues
Denver.
in Denver. Yeah.
And we were you could feel the pressure coming off.
And that's too like my stepmom, I guess you could say, my dad's second wife, is a nurse for a long time. And I told him I was feeling bad and he kind of was freaking out and was like, you need to just leave. Like that's the only thing that
Yeah.
will help, because you can get like Dramamine, which I got once we went to Breckenridge. But I was like physically like probably couldn't drive to there to even go to like the store like the second day or whatever we were there. So anyway,
We went to Denver and then that was cool because we started
Love
to feel
Denver.
better. And then we drove up to Estes Park.
yeah, After
spent a
that,
day there, did like
Boulder.
shopping, like walking around, then did Boulder. Did Boulder like twice, didn't we?
I love Boulder. I think Boulder's one of my favorite towns.
And they've made it like, it's all COVID friendly now. So like all the parking spots on the main street, Pearl Street, it was all like little like cafe almost, set up. So it's kind of cute and a lot of people just walking around. And
Yeah, most of it's like walkable, shut down anyway, but then they had like even more of it.
yeah, it was cute. But then we were like, all right. Oh, and then on the way back, we did Garden of the Gods. So Izzy
Awesome.
got to see all that stuff. And there was, oh man, do you remember like there's like kind of like the first turn if you're going to like drive into Garden of the Gods. On the left, you can turn in. There's parking spots and stuff, and then like a little deck so you can take photos. And then there's like that one guy called it the Kissing Camel Rock.
Right. Yeah.
And then right there, all the way up there, there was like people learning how to like rock climb.
Terrifying.
And I was
Yeah.
like, we're like, let's take photos. And I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
those people are up
They
there.
were practicing rappelling
But they
down.
had to get up there.
Which I
somehow.
thought that was like a protected area. I didn't know you could just like climb around all over.
I mean,
it,
they're probably like guided toward people
I guess.
stuff. I don't know. But I was like,
Um,
ooh, no.
Yeah, I'm not into any kind of heights. And especially after this, it's like, take me to the ocean,
Yeah, I think we're ocean
more
people.
of a sea level type of vacationer. But had fun. Boulder, we went to that pizza place that I really I followed on Instagram. I would love to open a
Jane's
pizza place.
what
We
was
need to
it
do
called?
something. Audrey James.
Audrey Jane.
It was really good.
2 people that are near and dear to us in our life that are separate
Yeah.
people, but we love them.
Yeah, good name. No, like when we would go to Boulder in like high school and stuff, I was like, man, I'd love to go to school here. Because it was just
Yeah.
like, first of all, I was already into weed back then. So I was like, this is perfect. It's like pretty much what the whole town's about, it seems
Mhm.
like. So a lot of people screaming about existentialism and whatever while you're just walking by with
smoking
iced coffee. But I was like, God, that would be so cool. And it was, even back then, it was like 60,000 for non-resident or whatever tuition. So
gotta pay for that weed and coffee.
Yeah, they had a great ultimate frisbee team that was like national champions for a few years.
Really?
And so I was like, man, that's my former life, you know. But
do you when we were driving, we were like, okay, let's leave Breckenridge, the little town, and then we were going down, and we were like, literally, you just drive through mountains to like get to Denver. And then it's just like little houses and stuff here and there, like beautiful streams next to you with like boulders and awesome trees and whatnot. And then there was just like this bright red building. And we were like, what is that? And it was Strawberry Fields, and it was just a weed place. But it was like, dispensary. But it was literally like a glass red building.
Yeah, like 2-story.
It was
looked
really,
kind of
we
like
were like,
a
whoa,
futuristic KFC,
like,
type of thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, what the hell is that? And then I looked it up later, and apparently it's like a chain. Like there's a bunch of them.
I think I saw one when we were driving back too.
But they're just like nuts buildings. But yeah, that was funny because it was like a weird, like old mining town.
Yeah.
And then there's just this like weird, like Vegas style dispensary. But that was nuts too, because like, we drove like through New Mexico and then up, ways, and like in some of the most beautiful country you've ever seen in your life. You were playing Ryan Bingham, so it was like just perfect. Like it was awesome. There's like 5 people that live per county in the middle of nowhere. So we went like that way up to Breckenridge, which was awesome, but probably what caused our demise. And then when we drove back, we drove Breckenridge to Denver.
Yeah.
And then the whole time on that, you drive up back to like 12,000 feet, and then you drive back down.
So you're like, brr, brr, brr.
And there's at least 2 tunnels where you're like, I don't know. That's the stuff that always fascinates me, where I'm like, who built this? And like, how did they do this? Because it's literally just a giant mountain that you drive for like 10 minutes through.
I don't know.
And then why would you live in that town? Like, let's say in the 1800s, you're like, you know where would be a great place to live? On the other side of that mountain.
Let's dig a hole.
That giant mountain. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
That's we talked about that too. Like with like in New York, the like tunnel from like New York,
the Lincoln Tunnel.
The Lincoln Tunnel, from like New Jersey to New York or whatever. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And then it's just like insane, like all the like subway stuff too. Like it's just insane to me. In San Francisco's like that too. It's just like an entire like underground thing. But anyway, it was really funny. You brought up coffee. And like, we've got this kid, and it's like you don't have your own life anymore. So I'm like constantly like around 4 p.m. every day. I'm like, man, I really would like a nice coffee. So like we're in
pick me up,
we're in Breckenridge, and I'm like, oh, Starbucks just real quick. Which like, yes, I know I probably should have supported like super local or something, but it was so funny. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna go get a $3, let's be honest, $5 iced coffee or whatever. So I run in there, get a coffee, and it literally was like 2 minutes, and I come out and someone just like, oh, Starbucks everywhere. I was just like, okay, like my bad, dude. But
Breckenridge, dude.
Very Breckenridgey.
Yeah, that old lady was disgusted at all the people sitting outside of Starbucks.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just funny. I was like, dude, I'm just mom trying to live here,
I understand her point of view, but like literally everything there is that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's a
like
North
a North
Face
Face
store.
Yeah, and Lululemon, like it is what it is.
Where is that stuff made?
China.
Asia somewhere by like 5-year-olds probably.
Right.
So it's like, okay, God forbid that I have my Frappuccino, but
It's doing good in Breckenridge.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just so funny. But so overall, probably won't do that again. Next time we travel with Izzy, we'll have to go see an ocean.
I think we just need to plan better. Yeah, we just didn't, because we're like, Waze, okay, fastest route and all that, but it's like for gringos from Fort Worth, you have to like really like plan out your acclimating to.
Right.
But that's what my dad was like, you didn't take, whatever, Dramamine or whatever before.
No,
and
we
I
were
was
like, we made sure we had our baby and we left. That's
Yeah.
like pretty much what we did. Like,
and I put this on Twitter, and I feel pretty confident about this, but I said if there was an Olympics for packing the car on a road trip, number one.
yeah. Because when we did
I'm
go
gonna
to
be hard to
Denver, you were like, okay, let's like pick a hotel. And I like legit just did like Priceline or something. And then there, like, it was an expensive hotel, I
Yeah.
would say.
It had just opened,
And it
apparently.
just opened. It was downtown Denver, and they like basically didn't have bellboys, and so you were
Bougie.
like, mother effer.
I wasn't happy. And I'll talk about that. And I forget what the name was, but I would roast them right now if I remembered it. But first of all, we pull up. And,
I know what it is.
And it's,
Oh,
I mean, you can say it. I don't care. I'm never going back. You pull up, and the guy comes up to the car, and I'm already exhausted and, felt
feeling
like
bad.
dying, but
yeah,
started to feel better,
Yeah.
when we were driving back. And, we're just like, we just want to get in the room. And, Izzy's like, it's like almost bath time. We got all the stuff going on, right? This guy walks up to the car in a Gap t-shirt.
like you were like, does he work here?
And like 5 o'clock shadow, you're not wearing a hat. You're not wearing, he's
Like, are you just gonna steal our car?
he's like, hey, you're valet. And I was like, you're the valet? And he's like, yeah. And so anyway, this place was so bougie that like, God forbid they wear uniforms or something.
Yeah.
To
They
denote
were
that
uniforms, but they were just like baby Gap tees. But they were like striped, literal striped like crew
Yeah.
neck shirts. So
anyway, and then is because somebody help with the bags. Oh no, we don't.
But
do
we had
that,
like a
'cause
baby
it's
bath.
COVID
We had
and,
like baby Bariza formula maker. We had
Yeah.
formula. We had all this stuff, and like Travis literally had to put it all in the car.
I loaded the whole thing up, and then it was like just like teeter tottering, and I was like, whatever, let's just make this happen. And there was 2 nice ladies by the door that helped me out, because when it like something fell off, and then they like helped me put it back, and I was like just so close to just snapping, which I'm kind of on that edge anyway most of the time. But the guy goes, "Did you get everything?" And I go, "I don't fucking know, man." And the ladies laughed, and then I was
funny.
like, "That's probably not a nice thing to say, right?" So then when I took the thing back, I was like, "Hey, man, sorry about that."
You're so nice in your little heart.
Well, I didn't want to do that. I just feel like that's what people should do, right? Like that's, Cole and I were talking about
What to say sorry for like
being a dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's we were talking about the culture index stuff yesterday. And so that's, I think in the past I was oblivious to being a jerk sometimes. And then now it's like,
You're like not though.
right.
You're really not. It's just if the situation you're in, like that situation, you're like, I cannot handle this. But like
There's a
you're
lot of
nicer than I
things-
am in a lot of
True.
times. Like,
But this isn't a La Quinta.
but like that's
right?
what I
like-
think. Because then we did 2 nights there, and then
Yeah.
we were gonna add on a 3rd night.
Yeah.
And when I went to add on the 3rd night, it was like closer to the weekend than it was when we had
Right.
gotten there, and so it had gone up like a lot. And I
Right.
was like, babe, we could literally go to the 4 Seasons for what we're gonna do, but
Right.
we had so much shit that we were like, we don't want to, because we
Oh my
had
God,
we
yeah.
had planned to
Packing
stay
everything
in
back
like
and-
an Airbnb, not a hotel. So we had like so much stuff, and I was like, we could pack this all up, or we could just spend this like a lot of money for no bellboys with uniforms. But anyway, we're back, we're live,
Yeah. And,
here to tell the tale.
we went to a really nice restaurant. We should talk about that because we walked over
Oh yeah,
and there was like because the hotel was right next to Union Street.
yeah, like
I
the
think.
train station.
And they like converted it to make it like super cool. We went to a taco place there the last time we were in Denver that we loved, and they were doing some sort of like music thing, right? Where they
Yeah, I
had
don't know
like
what it was.
the street blocked off, and it was crazy. But we went into this nice seafood place because we were like, we're in Denver, let's get seafood. And we went to this place, Stoic and Genuine,
Yeah,
I think,
Almost
which
said
is,
Grace, but yeah.
funny generic name. But
But like we were concerned because we had Izzy.
right.
And it was like a pick your lobster,
It was a nice place.
like at the bar type place. Beautiful, sushi and all this stuff. And then we're like, hey, we've got a 8-month-old with us. Like,
we also went like at 5, right?
Which
It was
is a pro move if
the
you're
minute that they
a parent.
opened. So we've we know the rules, the unwritten rules. So anyway, they sit us Kashad
Yeah,
was our
Kashad.
waiter, I remember, because I was like, I didn't understand what he was saying at first, but then super nice. We had the Moana going, super, good setup, seafood tower, delicious. That old bitch came in with a couple of guys.
Takes one look at little Isabel, and she was like, I'm not sitting there. And I almost like mom clawed her, but I was like, I get it. Because then you and I looked at each other and we were like, we used to be like, not super stoked if we got sat next to a child.
Well, if you go like to a nice date, I get it.
But like, you gonna do that to my
these
kid,
were just
lady?
some old jerks at 5 o'clock. You're like, dude, whatever.
They were like requested to sit at the literal other side of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And
we
then
were the only
we got a
people
bottle
there.
of wine and like a seafood tower because we were just like, dude, this trip's been like effing insane. Like, let's just like have like an hour, before Izzy has to go take a bath and stuff and go down. And like, we like cheers to them. So we were like, to that lady over there who's like didn't want to sit next to us.
I had a great time. But,
yeah, it was wonderful. I emailed their team afterwards and like let them know how welcome they made us feel, because we even were like Izzy was like kind of starting to get like, I'm aware it's almost bedtime type.
Moana wasn't working.
Yeah. And so I was like, do you mind? Like, because we got that bottle of wine. So I was like, do you mind? And by the way, this was the only time we drank the entire trip too, 7 days.
I don't know if I could have drank.
No, we couldn't.
Otherwise.
But we were like, do you mind if we finish the bottle outside just on the patio area? And they were like, dude, y'all are fine. Like, don't worry. She's not being like an issue. Just a wonderful overall experience.
Well, too, she like pooped like the second we got
I was like,
there.
you're pooping right now, aren't you? And she was just like looking at me. She always does those. Like, why do you have to look at me while you poop?
Part of why she was a little.
But so then like we like just it was great. And I emailed them and I was just like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, I didn't say like we're in the industry or anything, but I was just like, we just really respect that type of atmosphere of welcomeness and how that's, how we try to be with our restaurants.
Hey, baby shaming is a thing, right? Like that's happened
dude.
to you in
Locally, I've
restaurants
gotten it.
in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
All
Like
owned by
during
the same
lunch.
guy, but and a few people have said that about those restaurants, but what are you going to do? But no, when I told you, and I had a half a bottle of wine after, feeling like dying. So I was like feeling pretty good. And I went in the hostess and I was like, are you the manager? Because I thought she was the one that like sat us or whatever. And she was like, no. And I was like, can I speak to the manager? And she was like, oh, okay. And then like walked off and then like came back and was like, what's this about? And I was like, I just want to talk to her. And then like finally she came over, but I guess they thought I was going to complain. And I just said like, we've been baby shamed at multiple restaurants, in Denver and not in Breckenridge because we didn't go anywhere. But I was like, you guys are super awesome. Like we appreciate the hospitality. And then the manager said she had kids. So she was like, I get it.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And
maybe it was just that it was like, oh, this is actually a nice experience in this like turmoil of like, we don't know what we're doing on this road trip dinner.
Yeah, I think
so. That might have been coupled with them actually like smiling at us. Then we were just like, we're in love with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It wasn't, like,
all right,
the best
Hawaii
meal I've
next
ever
time,
had.
though.
Yeah.
Then we just have to do a flight with Izzy, which will be fun. This episode is brought to you by Trace Agave's Tequila, 100% USDA certified organic tequila.
Delicious tequila, some of our favorite. They got the Añejo, they got the Blanco, they got the Reposado. Tequila made in tequila, slow roasted for approximately 20 hours, almost like delicious brisket, you may say. Trace Agave's awesome stuff. Thanks for sponsoring Heim Time Podcast. You might want to check out their organic margarita mix. They also have a strawberry margarita mix. No high fructose corn syrup if you're trying to watch the weight like myself. Maybe just a little ranch water, just some tequila over ice. Delicious stuff. Like Emma said, 100% certified organic. Awesome tequila. Thank you, Trace Agave's. Drink some responsibly.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be much different than being in a car, though. You know?
Yeah.
And you got the monitors and everything else.
Another thing that I think people don't like, I know like we didn't think about, we haven't done it yet, but you're like, oh man, flying with your kid or whatever. But like, and you don't want them to be disruptive, but like everybody has headphones on. Everybody is like either watching a movie, listening to music, or like listening to a book or something. So when you think about it, you're kind of like, well, she could like piss somebody off, but it's like one person out of 100 people or whatever, you know? So
it's a weird, somebody was talking about
and I'll
this.
fight them too if they say anything.
Well, and that's what I was about to say on my, some like podcast or something was talking about how just batshit people are on planes right now. Like people are always weird on planes. And I've said that for years. There's a passenger shaming, I think, Instagram, which is one of the funniest Instagrams I've ever seen.
So like people that take their toes out.
People that take their shoes off and put them on the thing, or like have their hair over the back of the thing where you can't see the TV. There's always just like really just people that just have no self-awareness whatsoever. And it's a really funny thing. But for a number of reasons, I canceled. We were supposed to go on a parent Mexico trip. But that was one of the things, like traveling right now is nuts. Like people are like fighting the attendants. There's something where this Southwest employee got headbutted the other day and like busted her face because she was telling a lady to put her mask on. And she was like, I got my rights and, you know, whatever. She was white. I don't know if she had an accent, but I just, figured.
Oh my gosh.
But so anyway, it's not a good time, I think, to fly anyway, but maybe to Hawaii, people are different. And they're like, we're all.
Well, and like, too, like Hawaii, like my personal opinion on that is like you go early.
Right.
And then you're there early. You always go nonstop. If you're going to like Maui, if you're going to like Hawaii, you have to stop. And then on the way back, to keep with like your schedule and stuff for sleeping, you leave at like 6.
Right.
Eat dinner on the plane, and then like try and sleep through the night. And then you're like, or you leave at like 9, and then you sleep through the night or through the flight, and then you like land in DFW at like 6 a.m.
Right.
So then you just like continue your day, and then you're like back on schedule or whatever. But I think that would be good for Izzy because then she could sleep through the night. Also, can you guys tell I'm trying to get on a flight to Hawaii?
Yeah. I mean, I'll take a one-way flight to Hawaii and never come back right now. Would be awesome. But,
dude,
let's get these other restaurants open first.
When we got back, too, one of the things we needed to be back for was we did a catering, which was really cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
With a family that we know in Dallas that we met through Daniel Vaughn, actually.
Yeah.
But it was so sick. It was for the country, what is it?
Country Music Hall of Fame.
Country Hall Music.
Country Hall Music Fame.
Country Music Hall of Fame. And they just like legit had Trisha Yearwood in their backyard playing for it. And it was so cool.
Which
like so nuts.
I never know if I should say names or not. The lady told us years ago about this plan.
Yeah, at least 2 years ago.
A catering with them. And then with COVID and everything, it fell through. But yeah. And like in their backyard is kind of like the most basic way to describe it, when you have a 30,000 square foot house or
Right.
whatever it is with like a 2-acre backyard. But it
People
was
don't just have
awesome.
Trisha Yearwood playing in their backyard. It was like the coolest experience ever.
Yeah, that was cool.
But like that, we were like, all right, our trek through Denver and whatnot, we just got to be back for that. So
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't want to miss that at all, because you guys are pretty good friends now. And,
Yeah, we've done some wine dates.
We've done a few catering. We're doing catering for them this weekend, so
Mhm.
it's awesome. And there were other barbecue places there too. It's not like Daniel just invited us, FYI. So we are friends with him, but don't let that think that we get any special treatment. One of the best things probably that ever happened to you lately, and I know you've dreamt of this day for a long time, but you woke up and Facebook and Instagram were down.
Yeah. You know what, dude? It was great.
How did you feel?
It was really great. Like
As
we
a
had a
social
little
media marketing.
we had a little text group with a couple of girlfriends, and like a couple of them were like, "Isn't this so weird? Like, thank God TikTok's still up or something." And I was like,
TikTok.
First of all, I don't have a TikTok right now. Second of all, I was like, this is the greatest day of my life. Like, I didn't have my phone
shoes
at
are
all, and it
Yeah.
was really cool. And it was a great day for it,
Mm-hmm.
because I know we've talked on here before about like people just like, oh, it's 11:30 at night, I should probably message Heim Barbecue and let them know about my experience 2 weeks ago, and then I'll get that like right before I go to bed or something.
Yeah.
But on this particular day, I was already asleep when someone messaged, and so I didn't get it till the morning. And I checked it at like 8:30, and it was a guy complaining about his experience or whatever, and then like I couldn't respond.
But you also said that, I mean, it's almost like this happens a lot where you immediately are like, this is a little fishy though. Like maybe
With that
guy
dude,
was
yeah,
trying
he
to
was like,
scam.
"Oh, blah blah blah," like
Yeah.
trying to make it worse than it was, I think. And so,
Well,
but
we've
you were
seen
still
that.
good because you still had Twitter. So
And I put on Twitter, I go, I really hope I don't have to use this account for business information. It's going to be terrible if Facebook and Instagram don't come back.
I would love. I mean, in all honesty, and there's like stuff going on with Facebook, right? There's a whistleblower saying,
Well,
Some-
tinfoil hat time, right?
Yeah.
Like the day before, 60 Minutes
Right.
did a thing where this lady who worked with Facebook, it's nothing that you didn't already know if you have a brain. Their like algorithm and everything, it's like maybe like, let's say hypothetically, you're a guy who has a Confederate flag as a profile pic,
"Oh,
then Facebook is going to suggest maybe you like this QAnon group. Maybe you
Right,
like
right.
this,
Of
like,
course.
Bill Gates is trying to, murder your dog group.
Mhm.
And the whole point, I guess, was what she was saying is that it all runs off of like interaction. Like they're trying to they want you, all of these sites, to use it as much as possible. Like 12 hours a day, you're on Facebook and all that.
Ugh.
And they have, like, knowingly, I guess, have the information that a lot of people who are mentally ill or whatever, but just, people in general, what causes a lot of interaction is like anger and hate and stuff.
Right.
Like, are you a member of the Fairmount Facebook page, right?
Yes.
So there are things where it's like, if you think about it, it's negative. Like if you put like, hey, I really like this restaurant on Fort Worth Foodies, you may, it's going to get a couple likes or whatever. If you're like, this place sucks and I hate them and everything, then
300 comments.
and it's people who feel the same way. And then it's people who are like, you're a moron because, I love that place. That's my favorite place. So again, the whole point, I guess, is what she was saying is they kind of knowingly, I guess, have helped further that, divisiveness or whatever of, with the politics, with the election and everything. And
It's just like what everything is stemming from too, is people's knowledge is like literally coming from Facebook about like the world and politics and what Biden's doing.
so Giuliani,
Crazy.
who is Trump's lawyer,
Yeah.
who is a known moron, I feel like I can say confidently, they like subpoenaed him or whatever for all the riot stuff. And he said, that the election was fraud, whatever. And they were like, how did you know that? And he was like, because I saw it on Facebook. And like,
Are you serious?
not because it like said that. Yeah. Not because I did research or whatever, which, the most people in the history of the world voted for Biden. I'm sure there's some weird stuff that went on there, but you can't just be like, I saw it on Facebook, like that's not whatever. So anyway, that's the conspiracy thing, is then like, what are the odds that like the day after the whistleblower thing that then it shuts down? At one point someone had said like someone deleted the core code and that it was like never coming back, and then like an hour later everything
It was like
back
a full
and running.
day.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's very
It was
weird.
awesome.
But
I did miss Instagram. I like the gram.
I like Instagram. Paul told us that Instagram was going to just videos. I don't know if
I've
that
never
ever
seen that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
TikTok is the thing that like everybody's trying to compete with them, because if you're like, we're old, right? But if you're like Tucker's age or younger, that's like all these kids do is just TikTok all day, doing the dances and the
How do you
things.
have that much time?
I don't know.
I'd be like, you want to watch me do a TikTok of like making coffee? Like, what do you like? Like, I don't get it.
People do that,
Yeah, I guess
like,
it's just like whatever. It's like, hey, you want to see a load of laundry done real good?
Tom Segura and his wife on their Your Mom's House podcast is like, they have like a segment where it's like the weirdest TikToks, and it's just
that's funny.
No, it's not funny. It's like,
well, I mean, it's funny that they
creepy, like weird, like trying to be sexy, things, and just really
trying to be sexy,
dude. Like it's funny. Some of it's funny. Some of it I'm like disgusted, but I guess there's some weird. That's another thing. If you get onto like a weird algorithm, then I think
yeah. Oh yeah, it
you
just is
find
like a
some
hole,
interesting-
a black hole. Just keep going, keep going, keep going.
I hate Facebook and have hated it for a long time. So
I hate Facebook too.
I think Sam Anderson said, I guess somebody spilled barbecue sauce at the Fort Worth data center, and like that's why everything went down. And then Bud Kennedy shared that, and then I was like, if that's all it took, I would have done that years ago.
It is. It's just so.
But then I wrote, just kidding, FBI.
FBI.
Please don't.
Dude, quit.
Come to our house. I know.
Yeah, they're gonna like take Izzy or something.
No, never.
Dude.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm happy for you.
What? Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It was a good day for a little bit. But it is. I mean, we've chatted about this 1,000 times. It's a necessary evil in the times that we live in, because it's just so easy for people to get onto Instagram and see a picture of a beef rib and then go and buy a beef rib.
Well, I think social media, and I've said this before, is one of the worst things that ever happened to human civilization, and I stand by that. But I was like, this might be a great thing for the world, because America seems to be very, just everyone hates everyone. You know
Everyone
what I mean?
does seem
there's
to hate
no
everyone.
empathy. There's no compassion. My friend Andrew and I were talking about this, of like, I don't agree with you, but like maybe I can see the other side. There's one of the hottest trending pages on Reddit. I forget what it's called, but it's people celebrating people dying of COVID. Because it's like
Dude.
and I get it, to some, I guess, but it's like a guy on Fox News, like, for example, or something.
Oh, yeah.
Who's like, I'm not taking the vaccine. I think that's Bill Gates is trying to impregnate me, or whatever. So it's like, I'm not doing it. That guy dies,
And then
from
people
COVID.
were like doing
And then people are like, hell
parades.
yeah, dude, this is awesome.
It's messed up,
And
dude.
I we're vaxxed, I don't want to like get into all of that and the politics. I think, blah, blah, blah. But there's something wrong with that, right? That we're like
Yeah.
celebrating people dying that are on the opposite side of our opinions politically or whatever. So anyway, that was my point, was just maybe this will be a good thing that, if it's shut down for a while, and but then the reality of, you've done a great job. We have 40,000 followers on Instagram. We have, however many thousand on Facebook. It really is probably the easiest way to interact with customers,
Yeah.
because they can just message, good or bad.
Like, what did it used to be?
When, like, just when you have breakfast, when you have whatever, and instead of like, I guess, having to call on the phone or,
Yeah.
whatever. So there are a lot of positives for business. And then I do, because we do like always complain about like when people are dicks to us and we feel like it's unwarranted. I wanted to bring up the customer complaint the other day where they got a to-go order with a pint of beans that
Yeah,
had
dude, Jesus.
zero
Crap.
beans.
I don't think I messaged her
Oh,
back.
God.
No, I sent it.
So do you want to set it up, or?
Well, I just got an email and she was just like, hey, I really love y'all's place. My family loves it. We did a large to-go order
Awesome.
and we just enjoyed it so much. Our most favorite part is the beans.
Of course.
And we got a
delicious.
pint of beans and there wasn't there wasn't oh, this is so bad. There wasn't one bean in the pint of bean. It was all just bean juice.
A single bean.
I mean, what?
A single
What
bean.
are we doing here? But it was late, and so I guess like the staff was probably like maybe oversold a pint of beans or something, and then they were like, instead of being like, "Hey, ma'am, we don't have beans. Let me give
beans."
you another quart of Mac or something," they just gave her bean juice.
Bean juice.
Yeah,
A pint or a quart?
a pint
Okay.
a pint of bean juice.
A quart's funnier.
Of course.
Literally, so it was almost like a soup, I guess, like a bean.
I think I did message her back, and I asked which location so that I could be like, dude, and then give her a gift card or something. Because I was like, dude,
I mean,
I'm sorry
good
about your
help is hard to
beans.
find, right? This is what we fight every day, I feel
But
like.
what
where-
it sounds like, it was, she said she came in later. And so an issue that can arise with our type of restaurants where it's like till you sell out
Right.
is like the cashier didn't communicate well, or the kitchen didn't communicate well with the cashier. Like, hey, we've only got 4 more pints of beans
We
left.
just have juice. We don't
Instead, they
have
were like,
beans.
they sold it, and then they were like, well, we still have this juice, so we'll just give her this. Oh my God.
That was another late night one where you read it in bed and we just started dying
We
laughing.
died.
Like, we're just the worst, It's like good help is hard to find, I think. It's like, what? That's
He
just
was like, we're just really sad because the beans are our favorite part. And I was like, oh man.
there's so many times where I just think, what were you thinking? Well, like from, staff standpoint,
I don't
what
know. They may
why
have thought
would
there
you
was beans in
think-
there.
that this bean juice would suffice for whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that
That's
up because I thought
funny.
it was
I forgot about
hilarious,
that.
and I feel bad about that lady. But so much to talk about. Okay. Paul's not in here, we should say, and we got
We're
double
literally
booked.
just chatting.
We're just chatting, and that's why we're in the studio. And I don't know, the last time too, it
I
was
think he
double
said
booked.
87.
Everyone in Fort Worth wants to do a freaking podcast now, the trendsetters. So that's good for him. But
Okay.
moving
We
on.
started a new show, and we
Okay.
cannot watch it at night times because you just
I can, dude. You're like.
well, I don't know if
freaking-
I'm into it. I'm into it hardcore, but I don't know if it's like me. Like, I just wake up sometimes. I don't know if it was because of the show. Okay, so we started the Squid Game
Squid Game, yeah.
OMG.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about this. And then I was intrigued, and then we're like, nah. And then you were like, let's watch it like the next day or something.
Well, we're not big subtitle people, you know, I feel like, because I have a lot of people or, you know, podcasts and people will be like, watch this thing and it's in Spanish
No,
or this or that. And you're
I
just
don't have the
like,
time.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a lot of work. But multiple people, excuse me, recommended this and said it's weird, but you just have to watch it. So like I kind of sort of knew the premise,
Mhm.
but then you get into the first episode and then it just, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is like so intense.
Yeah, I mean,
So I guess we should say spoilers, right? If we,
are
if you
we
haven't,
gonna do spoilers, or should we just be like, watch it and then like tweet us and let us know, and then we could talk about it next week or something?
yeah, it's one of those where like
you just have to watch it.
we've talked about this in the past, but there are shows where you're like, I don't know if I would recommend that to people. You know what I mean? Because you're like, dude, I love this show where there's just rampant murder and violence, and you're like,
But it's
you like that?
I kind of like. I don't like people dying and watching it, but I like the mental like parts of it, like
Yeah.
where it's like they trick you to like go play this game or whatever, and it's all about like making money and stuff, and it's like the things that people would do to like make money is insane to me. So
Yeah.
it's like an interesting, like, what are you willing to do?
Yeah, somebody, I need to just have my laptop out. Someone said it's a play on The Most Dangerous Game, which is like a old story where it's like basically like it's my understanding that it's like you like kills like somebody. It's like, because the whole point is it's like how far will people go to like win money or whatever. And then by the third episode, you're like, oh, that's how far. You
Right,
know?
right.
Like it escalates quickly, you could say.
And we've only watched 4 episodes, and I don't know how many there are,
I don't
but
know.
they
Can't be that
have to
many.
complete like a set number of games, and they've only completed 2, right?
Well, ended with the third one last night.
Right,
remember?
yeah. So I guess there's a couple more episodes.
It's wild. I saw, it's interesting, the story, because it's Korean and it's all Korean actors and everything. And then there's like subtitles and English dubbed over.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah. And it's good, really, really well done. But the thing I thought was cool was I guess the guy who wrote it tried to pitch it for like 10 years and like nobody would buy it. And I mean, it's pretty out there, so I get it. But it's like he, I guess, was like, whatever, and then finally went to Netflix. And it's like the #1 Netflix show in 90 countries was what the thing said. So he's making
I think
money,
too,
I'm
it's
sure.
like keeps you like intrigued, like what's gonna happen next. Like, I mean, there's probably gonna be like murder or whatever, but you're like, what's
There's gonna be murder.
what's the next game? Like, it's kind of like how they are in the actual series. They're like, oh, what is it gonna be? Maybe I can do it. It's a gamble, you know, which is so interesting.
And I don't know if I like it. Like this, it's like a little too close for home.
Yeah, it's like you don't
COVID
really
and
like
everything
it.
going on now.
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting story, I guess, and it's just like so intense. And you know, there's like a couple of the characters that, of course, they like you like and you're like rooting for, and then there's characters where you're like, this guy's not a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever, but I've felt this way because we would watch The Walking Dead and we were like,
Right.
okay, this is a pretty good show, and I thought that was really interesting, and we'd follow it. And then there was one episode that still like haunts me to this day, but it was like basically it turns into where it's just humans killing other humans, and then it's not like we're worried about zombies or whatever. And I guess my point is like that's kind of how this show has turned into with a couple of episodes very quickly.
Yeah.
Is you see the depravity of like humans where it's like how how quickly, and these are fake shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
That what you think? That we
you
know.
see how quickly it turns to just barbarism and people
Yeah.
who will murder other people or do whatever.
And then there's like
they can.
glimpses of like the little old guy. He's like,
The best.
guys,
Yeah.
like, what are we doing?
The,
you know,
the
like,
Pakistani
yeah,
guy, he's
yeah.
awesome.
And it's like, oh yeah, like this is like insane what we're doing, you know? And then you have like a snap to reality, and like even you watching it, you're like, oh yeah. Like
Yeah. So, you know.
But it is like it's
It's that's the part
intriguing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I told
You
you
were like, I
last
can't
night.
watch it in the like right before bed anymore.
Well, I've felt like shit for the last like 2 or 3 weeks anyway, with just random sicknesses. Not COVID. I've tested negative for that, but so anyway, then what was the other show we were watching? We were watching some other show, and we were just like, you watch it right before bed, and you're just jacked up. You're just like adrenaline, like you know, like so ready. Whatever.
Well,
Some of
Sopranos,
the last thing, yeah, Sopranos was kind of like
which
that.
I've heard about the Saints of whatever that his
Mini
son
Saints of
did. I've
Newark.
heard it's not good.
Everything I've heard is that it's absolutely terrible.
That is terrible. Why?
I don't know.
And
And
why do it if it's not going to be good?
Well, like
I'm sorry, I'm just angry, like, because I freaking love The Sopranos.
to me, it's like when you have something that good, like
Like,
you don't
leave it.
you don't need a prequel. You don't, because they did that with Breaking Bad too.
Okay, well then, what
Right.
about this Yellowstone prequel thing? Like, is that going to suck?
I mean,
Prequels just.
I think
it's
the
like
difference
not everyone is
is-
Star Wars. We can't just continually do prequels.
yeah, the difference is, and look at Star Wars. You know, it's like some of them.
It's out there now.
Well, they're just
Literally.
like so far off, you know, whatever. With Yellowstone, it's like the main story is still going, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like with Sopranos.
Like Yellowstone, and it's like 1883. There's two
Yeah,
separate.
before, but you know what I mean? It's not like it's done and this is what Yellowstone will, like, I guess there's finality to that with like Breaking Bad was like, this is it, we're done, the story's over. They had a great ending, I thought. And then they're just like, let's get a little bit more money out of this and do like one more.
Dude, Breaking Bad, every time we see a Breaking Bad commercial, we're like, holy shit, that is still going on. I was
Yeah.
like, I cannot believe it. Not Breaking Bad. The one with the zombies we were just chatting about.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. I
I
cannot
was like, what are
believe
you
that.
talking about?
No, Breaking Bad's the best. I cannot believe that that is still going on.
And that's where somebody said, and I liked, it was like a comic novel or whatever you
Mhm.
call those. And so like the Asian guy dies in like the second
Yeah.
book or something, you know what I mean?
think he doesn't a long time in the show.
No, then he's like through like 9 seasons or whatever,
Mhm.
you know, spoiler, but
Well, if you haven't seen it yet, then
so anyway, I think they kind of took creative license with that, but then it's also just like, how can we milk this thing as much as possible? But yeah, I don't know. The country's already like screwed up enough. It's like, I don't need more examples of people, you know, murdering. What are we at? An hour? We're gonna do another podcast, just FYI. We're trying to like do
trying to catch
multiple
up.
to catch up for everything. Which of these topics? I guess
mean-
briefly I want to bring up the Urban Meyer thing because I think
Yeah.
that's really funny to me. So this guy's a known scumbag, right?
Right.
Like I think you're familiar with the story.
Yeah.
Urban
Because it was like
Meyer-
he knew about his like assistant coach doing something.
Well, if you recall, Urban Meyer won national championships at the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He was the head coach of one Tim Tebow.
Right,
Also a
right.
gentleman named Aaron Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't end well.
Right.
And a bunch of other guys. While he was the coach of Florida, multiple arrests of players, a lot of evidence that they would like hide things to try to not
Sneaky
get players
snaking.
suspended. Aaron Hernandez said that they would basically tip him off on drug tests, and they, you know, had a whole system to where they knew that these guys that they were bringing in were pretty sketchy, but
Yeah.
they were like, whatever, he's a great tight end.
We're gonna win.
Oh, yeah, just win, baby.
Yeah.
Right, Al Davis. So then he leaves the University of Florida because he was having heart problems. There was some sort of thing
Urban
about
did.
he was having health issues.
Okay.
Then, like, I'm exaggerating, but a day later, takes the job at Ohio State because the job opened, and you could say, I guess,
That's where he's at
arguably a
now.
better job. No. So he was at Ohio State, and same thing. Had a bunch of sketchy players, maybe doing everything I can to win, and was winning, won a national championship, right? Zeke had some issues while he was there, Cowboys running back, and, some other things, and just not a great guy. The assistant coach thing was just like, the guy was like weird and like cheated on his wife. I don't know what. I don't think it was anything like criminal. But I think that was kind of the final thing that led to him, whatever. So then he was
I feel like that made them like dive into more things or something, like figuring out like there is a lot behind the scenes.
It's like, are you winning?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can,
There's a lot of teams like that.
Yeah, there's a school to the south of here.
Yeah, I
that
was going to say.
felt the same way. And then, I think it's once things come to light, they're like, oh, we can't like sweep this under the rug anymore. That seemed to be what the situation was there. So then he goes, he's a football analyst for a while. Then now is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL.
Oh.
Yeah. And
I knew that.
they have not won a game yet. They're terrible. They had a weird draft. They picked a running back in the first round, I think, which was weird, and some other stuff. But allegedly, like, the players don't like him, and he doesn't get along with anybody. And he's trying to run the thing like a college program.
Okay.
Which in college you can control these guys, right? There's a lot, like, they don't pay them. There's a lot of things that are still pretty sketchy about college athletics in general. That's in my opinion. So anyway, they lose. They play a Thursday night game. They lose. He flies back to Columbus, which is where Ohio State is, and apparently has a restaurant there, a steakhouse, Urban Steakhouse or something. And video surfaces of him sitting on a bar stool with a young lady hump dancing, grinding on him. And he's got his hands down.
Yeah.
Kind of like...
in the general area of the goods.
You could say maybe protecting, just kind of like, okay, like I think whatever. Very interesting, boom, somebody got him on the Snapchat. So that goes out. That was like the day after they lost, so it's like he's just like partying.
Not looking good.
He comes out with a press conference where he says, I apologize for being a distraction. I shouldn't have been in that place. I was having dinner with my grandkids. And then
was that his granddaughter?
There's some people at the bar who wanted to take photos, and like they forced me, to go over there. Mind you, like there's multiple photos and videos where he's just drunk out of his mind, clearly. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure. So they get him to go over to the bar, and then he like they have the Sunshine from Clemson, the nuts guy's a nuts face, let's be honest, Trevor Lawrence, but they drafted him, first. So in this weird press conference non-apology where he's like, I was in the wrong place, I shouldn't have been there. He's like, Trevor had a bachelor party in Las Vegas, and I told the team, you got to be careful. You don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong why bring that up? Like, it's almost like,
he's like deflecting.
Hey, he, this guy, and he's like,
it's his bachelor party.
And he's 21 and a multimillionaire, and whatever. So anyway, this guy's a scumbag and has been for a while. So he does this weird like apology and was like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they said like he didn't address the team, I guess. He just did like a public apology. And then it was like 4 hours later, there's another video where he's like
Different angle, right?
a different second shooter. Somebody said on Twitter, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, Lord.
Where I mean, he's like going under center, as a QB with full on contact, and the guy's married. And then someone also said above the bar at the restaurant, there's a photo of him and his wife there.
Yeah, where was the wife?
I don't know, with the grandkids, I guess. So,
That's sad.
so then that came out after.
But that girl, I wonder if that girl was like, "What's up? Like, let's get a video."
Well, and then like somebody Snapchatted another girle that was like,
I saw that photo.
It says like, "Who is this? He keeps flirting with
Like,
me."
who's this old man or something?
What
What an interesting name too, Urban.
Yeah, it is.
Urban Outfitters.
But I guess Texas tried to get him to be their coach, and he turned it down. Which in hindsight looks, great. But anyway, this guy sucks.
What do you think's going to happen? Is he going to pull a like, I have to leave here to go?
So that's the joke, is that he's going to do that again. Like, I got to be with my family, which was like the Florida thing, because USC, who we're big fans of, your granddad went there and everything.
Yeah.
They're our Pac-12 team. They fired their coach like after the first game. So they don't have a head coach. So it's almost
So
like
he's going to go to SC?
the joke
no.
from the day that happened was Urban's going to go, I got heart issues, and then he's going to go
Please
to
don't
SC.
go to SC.
Well, I don't know how they could hire him at this point unless they just literally don't care about public, opinion.
Is he actually a good coach, or?
In college, yeah. In college, I would
to go.
say.
But then, like, he's shady, though.
He's incredibly shady. He's going to have some sort of scandal with, what.
He's too risky.
Aaron Hernandez murdered multiple people.
Yeah,
right?
and was constantly high.
And had a major
mental illness and stuff.
He had mental illness, but then like that documentary was like, I think a lot of it was because of CTE. And so that's where you see those guys that
But they were like, just keep playing.
Well, I mean, yeah. And
We're
he
winning.
was really good. And, that more of his issues, I think, were New England. But they said he was a gangbanger, terrible person in Florida. Like, it's not like that was whatever. So anyway, this guy sucks, and I don't take joy in seeing people fail, but his thing is all about like Christianity and like, moral, like, leading these young men and all this. And you just see how like, that's just a fraud. And so I hate when like people are fake like that.
Yeah.
And then like, it. And then, this is just another example of him being a piece of garbage person.
Just like, don't be there. Like, don't go and get drunk with 21-year-olds.
And then it was like he canceled a team meeting after that or something. So it's like I think he went to the NFL, because then there was footage of him talking to like the Broncos coach, I think, when pregame. And he's like, this is like playing Alabama every week. And it's like, what did you expect, dude? Yeah, like, of course, these are the best players
Doesn't he know what
ever.
football is? Like, that's what
but I
happens.
think,
You go from college to NFL.
Well, Nick Saban, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, he was the head coach for the Dolphins for a year, and terrible. Steve Spurrier, great coach, a lot of like really offensive things, stuff that he innovated. Had maybe a couple good years at Washington, the Washington football team, and then was terrible. So you see, it's just like a different animal. I think some of these college guys go, and then there's guys like Patterson who like don't care. They just want to be.
I feel like you
college.
have more like ability to do what you want to do when you're in college. Like as far as the coach goes, I guess.
Well, you can like
it
make
seems more
those
like
guys,
camaraderie than like NFL.
And you can make the players do what you want. Like, it's like, Des Bryant had a freaking pet monkey, you know what I mean, as a Cowboy.
Dude,
so it's
awesome.
like, you get these guys and then they get a $50 million contract and you're like trying to get them out of the strip club every night or whatever.
Right.
So,
same with Urban, I guess.
at your own restaurant,
Shady.
man. Jeez, like, I don't know.
Dude, no
it's
joke.
sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, if someone didn't snap, you can easily go back and look on camera like recording from the restaurant too and see exactly what happened, which I'm sure they have done by now.
And why are they, what is there like a DJ? Why are they hump dancing? I thought it was like a steakhouse.
I don't know.
Really
I'm
understand,
gonna
but
Google this.
anyway, that's your sports corner.
Sports corner
For
with
the night.
Trav.
We need to talk about Formula One because a lot has happened on that, but I think we're running out of tape here.
Yeah.
Anything else to hit on quick before we?
No, I'm just thankful that everyone's hung in there with us while we were sick and road trip, tried to take time off. Clearly that didn't get us anywhere, and just
Well, I
you
even
know,
brought the GoPro to Colorado because we had talked to Paul, like, let's shoot on the GoPro and then we'll send it. And then we almost died. So
yeah,
it's like,
we just
okay,
like needed to save ourselves. So
maybe let's not. And then even in Denver, it was like we're just gonna shoot, and Izzy's just gonna be crying in the background. So anyway, we've tried to make it work, but you know, shout
We're
out
back.
to us. Yeah, we're back.
we're back.
Shout out to the Patreon followers who have been great,
Yeah.
and YouTube, everybody else. You guys are awesome.
Keep
So,
following patreon.com/HeimTime Podcast. And then Instagram is just HeimTime Podcast, as well as that's it, actually. I was going to say we have like a Twitter and stuff, but you can just go to the Heim Barbecue Twitter.
And we didn't even mention it, but like we had the mayor of Fort Worth on our last podcast.
Dude,
So
I
it's,
know.
like, so weird.
She was so cool. She was just like, yeah, what's up? Like, let's chat. And we're like, all right.
She
But then
was
we had
awesome.
so many people like message us, like, that's so cool that you had the mayor on. And,
Yeah,
you know, she's cool too. So
she was awesome.
easy
We're
to
gonna
chat
do
with.
some more guests. Daniel said he wanted to come back on. That would be our first recurring guest, which would be a big deal.
whoa.
And we were saying, let's wait till
His first time to the new studio.
Yeah, let's wait till maybe the Texas Monthly comes out, so then they can promote that, you know, for our 10 listeners. But anyway, so we
true.
may have him on. There's a couple other people we want to have on. We're just, you know, then it's like easy over there.
Sorry.
Now, like babysitter and everything else.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but we're going to try to get at least one of these out a week and,
We
you
can
know,
do it.
Keep it rolling. Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you guys.